Welcome back to Readability. If you didn't know already, this is a kid podcast that's all about reading. Don't know a good book to read? Visit Readability and I'll help you out. Every Saturday, I'll either read, review, or recommend different books just for you. Lay back and listen to this week's episode. Let's get started. Welcome back to Readability. This week, we'll be reviewing the beginning of one of my favorite series of all time. As do so many people, the Grishaverse is one of my favorite sagas of all time, and I enjoy it a lot. I've yet to read the King of Scars duology, but just give me some time to read through my other books right now on my TBR, and then I'll jump right onto it. If you didn't know, this trilogy was turned into an 8-episode TV show on Netflix by the same name, which I won't talk about to save for another episode. Without further ado, let's get into this review. Orphan and cartographer Alina Starkov lives in a country where they are forced to travel through a deadly cut in the earth named the Fold. In the Fold, there contains utter darkness and monsters that attack anyone who enters it. It sounds like a terrible idea, but in order to get resources or travel the world, East Ravka is forced to travel that way. Alina learns an amazing, to her it's devastating, secret about her and is forced to be taken away from her childhood best friend, Malian Oretsev, or Mal. She works with the Grisha, the second army of people who have magical powers, and works with the infamous Darkling in order to change the world. Pretty basic, right? That's basically the gist of it. The author is Leigh Bardugo, one of my favorites. The book is 358 pages long. The publishing brand is Square Fish, and this is the beginning to the Grisha trilogy. The rest including Season Storm and Rune and Rising. However, there are more books in this universe, the Grishaverse, the Six of Crows duology, and the King of Scars duology. Let's get on to this rating. I know this book is very half and half when it comes to people enjoying the novel. I know people who despise it and people who adore it. Of course, there's people who are just in the middle. And I'm the latter, thankfully. I rated this series a solid 4 stars, and I really enjoyed the plot, the characters, and the writing style. I went through this book so fast. And I'll cover this more in the next section. I really liked this book. I went through it so fast, like I just said. I had to stop myself in order to not drive myself crazy, because at the time, I didn't have the rest of the series. So if I were to finish the first book, I would torture myself waiting for the second. Overall, it's really entertaining to escape into this rich world that's so interesting. Bardugo's writing is really easy to sink into, and I found the characters fun to read about. Except for Mal. No one likes Mal. Let's try to go through this fast. The character thoughts. Alina Starkov, what did I think of her? I actually enjoyed her character. She might be a little stupid and bland at times, but I think she can still hold her own at most. It's not a bore to read about her, unlike some other protagonists in YA fantasy novels, so I would take it as a win. Mal. Oh, Mal. Let's be honest, very little people liked Mal. I think that's because of the love they had for the Darkling, and it's kind of a love triangle. Great, but no, I'll be honest, I liked him at the beginning of the novel, but as the story went on, I found him really annoying and just not. Maybe he was the only one who really cared about Alina for who she was, maybe, but I still don't like him. Okay, the Darkling. Alrighty. The Darkling is such an interesting character. While not being the best of characters morally, he still had a little redemption. Emphasis on a little. Well, okay. I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe I should keep my mouth shut about him for right now until we get to the next section of the episode, and also until we get into the further books. Next one. Zhenya. Yes, I know there are other characters to talk about, but Zhenya is just my queen. Zhenya Safin is one of my favorite characters in the Grisha trilogy. Maybe not in the entire Grishaverse because Six of Crows, but I love her so much. Her backstory is so heartbreaking, and she develops so well throughout the series, but we're not there yet. And I almost forgot Zoya Nezhelinsky. It took me a while to master her last name, because, oh my goodness gracious, that last name, I'm so sorry. Whew. I hated her a lot in this first book, I found her like really annoying. But just wait until the next books, because I come to adore her. Spoiler time! Are we ready? Let's get the Darkling out the way. No one was really surprised when he was revealed as the villain. I mean, his name is literally the Darkling, and he did some things that kind of radiate villain energy. However, I was still heartbroken. I do like Alina and the Darkling together, ballroom scene. But just wait until my Shadow and Bone TV show episode. I knew this would happen eventually. Oh, how I wish he were good. Oh, how, like, so much would have changed if he had a redemption. Whatever. Is that kind of spoiling? Like the rest of the series? Oops. Anyways, I think the book started out great due to the action-packed beginning. We had so much death, fear, and, reveal. I mean, Alina learning about her powers was truly so much fun to read about. Also, I'm pretty sure Alina, like the name, means sun, light, which is pretty fun. I was definitely caught off guard when, Alexei died at the beginning. Was not expecting that. But it happened. Anyways, any scene with Genya is amazing. Sorry, it's the truth. I adore Genya so much, and she's such a great companion to Alina. I loved, like, reading about their friendship. Unfortunately, it was so sad to hear how Genya still, like, just obeys the Darkling, knowing his intentions with Alina and expanding the fold instead of diminishing it. However, Alina and her at the little palace interacting was worth it in the end. Okay. I was honestly really sad to hear that Mikhail and Dubrov, I think that's how you pronounce their names, died helping Mal. It was so much sadder in the show because we got to see more of Mal's relationship with the two. But even in the book, it still hurt when reading about it. To hate Mal even more because I don't love anything more than hating on characters. He brought it up at probably the worst time in the book. So, like, they were just, like, they escaped. And Alina was, like, warming around, like, her light flame. And he just says, oh, yeah, Mikhail's, like, dead. Dude, you can't just do that. Whatever. If I had to recommend this book, I definitely would. And I already have. However, I'm still a little cautious when it comes to this trilogy. Thank goodness I was lucky enough to actually enjoy this book and have the courage to move into Six of Crows. But I think, I know a lot of other people who didn't enjoy it as much. And, personally, I think it's worth it to read this to make it to Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. And in this trilogy, you learn so much about the world. A pretty in-depth introduction to the world. Meet characters like Nikolai, Genya, David, the Darkling, and Zoya. And yeah, even Alina. I mean, even if you don't like this trilogy or even this book, please push through it. The book has some darker themes compared to, let's say, the Lunar Chronicles, like with Jenny's backstory or stuff that Alina sees around her. But I think the ages of like 12 to 18 would adore this book. So basically YA. Oops. And that's that. That's the end to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed and are looking forward to the next episode, which you can look out for next Saturday. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next week. Keep reading, folks. Bye-bye.